detail on this at the moment, but with all the projects that I do, I try and have a clear idea of what I want to achieve. Same with any of the works that potentially some of you might start doing. Have a really good idea of what you want to achieve before you start. Really have a good look over the model and think about where you want to place the paint, sort of try and visualise how it's going to look when you're finished. If you can do that, you're sort of already halfway there, aren't you? And then it's a case of just putting it all together. So Savage then, if I'm working from this black background, so I'm going to be doing the outside of his tattoos. So looking at the image on my laptop at the moment, just a picture of his face. The main part of it will come, you'll have a part coming down the front here, which is the bit that'll be sort of bottom of his nose, and then his chin will form this section here. On the last one I had his eyes roughly about here. So the plan there is, without dropping it, is I try and keep a symmetrical sort of approach, and it is a work in progress, so I might start on one side, get that all planned out, and then transfer it over, get all my little reference points from one side, and then go on to the other side of the model and do that as well. So straight away you can see there I've sort of lined the top of the eye here, and then it should go there and up on the next one. So that's my idea. That's the top of the eye, and that's going to be the focal point. That'll come down and under. So that means he'll have a section there that'll come under, and then there'll be a black line there, and this will carry on down into a sharp point, and then come up sort of around the side here. Again, don't want to get it too wrong. So his eye comes down a little bit, flicks up, and then comes out. So I need it to look like that a little bit. So if you can see that, that's what his eye is possibly going to look like. Then under his eye, it dropped down off this little black line here, under his eye, comes back up again, and then out to the corner, and then cuts in. So that's the starting point of it. May look like it's all over the place, but this will make a lot of sense when it all starts to get filled in. Like I say, it's a line over the top there, which will take me to the bottom of his nose. His nose has a black section that comes straight down the middle into a rounded off point. So keep that symmetrical right down the middle. There's a little panel down the front here, which would be a good section to have that to work from. Then that points in like that. And there is a bit of a gap after that, so bring that into sort of the same sort of area. It comes back up, and there should be a black line that goes down the middle, and there's a lot of yellow in between. From the top of his eye is when the next black section comes out, actually, so I might have to just tidy that up there. And then above his eye, it cuts out quite quick, comes across, it goes vertical again, and then comes out into like a spike. And then cuts up next to that horn. So far the actual positioning feels like it's in the right place. So far, anyway. But like I say, as we work, because it's a black background, I can cut it back in, I can move the lines. This is just to give me a good idea of where I want it to go. So up near the horn up here, there is a flat section that comes out next to the other horn. Comes down and in a bit. Cuts in again. There's like a spiky bit that comes out. Down and round. So already this section here feels like it needs to be a little bit higher, so that when I get to this part here, it kind of matches up.
Abby?
So it's going to come into there like that. Okay, so how's that looking, guys? What do you think so far? Is the method to my madness? You can kind of just about see it, but like I said, the best bit in a second is when I start to fill it in. When it starts to get filled in, that's when it'll start to make more sense. So it's going to go to there. Okay, so down near his nose then, I'm going to kind of... That needs to be a bit further down actually. So it's like a flat V. So that needs to go a bit further over. Okay, so that's... the middle's going to be there. Just get that balanced out. So this may look a little bit thick, but it'll get cut back in a minute with black. So that's definitely the middle. So if I block this colour in now, and on his nose, kind of just cuts under his nose a little bit. So what I'm going to do, just maybe have it a bit like a V like that. Let's fill this in. Let's see how that balances out. So, flat bottom. There's going to be a rounded off section here. So I think I can draw this down a little bit further. So that's roughly, again, remember that what we'll do in a minute is that this is a rough shape. Once once I know it's in the right position, then I'll get my black out and cut it back in. And that tidies everything right up. Then underneath, it looks like, so that's where his mouth will go. And then it comes down from the edge. And then we have 3 spikes. So I'm going to accentuate these 3 spikes a little bit, just to sort of fill down the front of the model. And that gives me sort of a bit of a reference for the middle section as well. And again, like I said before, I'll cut all this back in with black. Like I said, it's just all about positioning. If you get your positioning right on any model that you're trying to do a bit of freehand for, you know, it literally is all about the placement. You know, you want placement to be right, you want the balance of colour to be right, and as well with any of these sort of character pieces, you just want the symmetry to be there as well. If you get, obviously if there is symmetry within the actual art piece as well. Okay, so that's that so far. So I'm just going to start filling in some of these other bits as well, because like I said before, I want to get one side of the model looking right, and then once I've got that one side right, then I can transfer using all my positional points on the hull, and then that makes it a symmetrical design then. The hull on these fire sprays do have lots of reference points that are the same. So if I'm replicating where the eye goes, I just look at all these little nooks and crannies here on that side, and they're relatively the same here, and then I can balance out the shapes and get those right too. So over the top then, there will be sort of in his forehead area, there is some spikes. So I'm going to put the main one in first, which is one that's quite prominent in the middle of his forehead, in there, and then draw that in. So that one will go there. And then there's 2 little ones just to either side. Just like that. So the black sections of them look okay, and actually crowns the cockpit area really nicely. So what do you think, guys? Are you enjoying this? Is this something getting inside my head a little bit of how I do these projects? Really calming, lovely. If anything, you know, in life we've got to find those little bits of peace. So if it's working for you, then cracking. You're trying to be super noisy on purpose?
Yeah.
You're a dickhead. Okay, so bringing that back round so I can fill all this area in up the top left here straight away. And around the horns as well.
I'm just going to stick these in the wash.
Okay. Yeah. It's up to you unless you want me to bang them off.
I've banged them off.
So like I said before, this kind of needed just to come out a little bit further. So we'll leave that where it is for now.
See what that looks like in a minute, eh?
Okie dokie. So hopefully nice and clean. Okie dokie. So like I say, I've done all the hard work in terms of getting the placements right. So I'm going to fill all these gaps in that are going to be the yellow skin tone. Yeah, that's going to come right down to his corner of his eye. And this is worked quite well actually, because the skin tone is really going to frame the cockpit. So obviously the cockpit is one of the most focal points on the model. Like I say, if you can frame that right with your design, instantly when you look at it, it's got a pop of colour, and the contrast, because I'm not sure what colour I'm going to do the cockpit yet. So now I'm looking at my artwork here in front of me. I can see on this section here now where it comes down near his arm, this needs to come more arched. So I'm going to bring his cheek section here down a bit. So it goes up first and then grades across there with a bit of a gradient. So I'm much happy with that. And then once this black section under his eye cuts down a little bit and then comes up, so that actually isn't far off of how I want it to look, so that's good. And this section's all under his eye anyway. And again, I'll probably rework the eye a little bit just to get it looking perfect. And there still will be a bit of cutting in work to do with the black just to get these colours right.
Just put these in the bin. This one doesn't come on at all, and this one's been factory reset.
I don't know, let's do a Google and see what it says. Okie doke. So probably carry on for about another 15 minutes. Usually I do a couple of hours whenever I do a stream. I don't think it will. Oh, right, okay. So, just having a look at the section under his nose. There is a little bit of a gap under the nose section, but not too big, so I'm going to draw this down a touch. Get the colours to meet a little closer. Okay, it's kind of, you know, it's getting there. I'm quite happy with that placement so far. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my black now, and I'm going to just clean up these lines a little bit. Right, I'm going to carry on for 15 minutes. Okay.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you've been really noisy.
I'm not on purpose.
Hope not.
I'm just trying to do my stuff,
Yeah,
dude.
me too.
Cool.
Right, so start with the eye bit because that definitely needs tidying up. Gonna leave a little bit of the yellow skin there just because it's gonna frame the cockpit. Switch on its eye. The bit under his eye definitely just needs to be a little bit bigger. Side of that, so it's roughly the same sort of width as the section above his eye, so if I match those two up there's a bit of uniformity there. Down this central section, this is the case of just tidying this up. I'll have to match up this section anyway and get it looking right, but it definitely arches a touch higher there than I've done. Looks alright so far. So hopefully you can see by these brush strokes here of how quick it just tidies up all the lines. So come on guys, give me your thoughts. What do you think so far? How's it looking? Is there anything glaring, or you... Okay, so top corner of here needs a nice spiky section going into it. Kind of want to accentuate that a little bit into this panel. So sometimes it's not all about being absolutely perfect sort of image of the face, but if you can make it a bit more dramatic with a few sharp edges, definitely give people something to look at. So sharp edge there. It comes around this top section here. They've actually painted and needs to be a little bit bigger. So that's looking pretty good so far. Happy with that. Then goes up. Oh yeah, that's coming together really nicely. See, I'm glad I chose to go back and do this. It's been a project that I've wanted to do for a while. Since I did the Darth Maul Firespray the first time, the intention was always to do this second one. But like I say, somebody made me an offer I couldn't really refuse when I wanted to sell it, so away it went. Brilliant. Okay, I'm actually really happy with the placement on there actually. And that diamond at the top just needs balancing out a bit. Maybe just need a little bit more brown just to make that just look better. Go. Perfect. Right guys, so I'm happy with that side of everything. So I'm going to call it a day there, because the next part of the project is literally just going to be transfer the markers onto the other side. And then once the other side is done and I'm happy with the mapping out, then I'll just start to highlight all the yellow, skin tone up, and then we start working on some of the other generic details that'll be on there. So cheers Steve, yep, I'm really happy with this actually. It's gone down first time a lot easier than it did for the Darth Maul one. That needed a couple of retweaks. But again, like I said right at the beginning of this, just having a vision of knowing how you want it to look. And again, this is looking exactly what I had in my head, especially that top section here of the top part of his tattoo. And then this bit on the top is actually probably my little favourite bit there. That's just going to crown, literally crown the canopy off beautifully. Then obviously we've got to do a bit of work on the horns. I probably will actually while I'm here. Obviously I like to try and use a bit of colour out on the side, so this fin section. Just because it bugs me a little bit if I've got an idea and I can just sort it quickly. And then I'll leave it there for a little bit, see if it grows on me, if it's the right placement for a bit of colour similar. Like I say, I'll just pull that wing in a bit. So sometimes it just looks a little bit odd, but that'll just tie in the wing a little bit. Get some metallic colours on there, on all the pistons and the structural elements in the middle. But yeah, they're happy with that. Great stuff. Well, thank you everybody for joining me. If you're re-watching this afterwards, head over to my other social media platforms. I'm on Facebook at Enigma Wargaming, also on Instagram as well, which is at Enigma_Wargaming_X-Wing. Head over there, just have a look at some of my other work that I've done. Then if you're interested in watching the second part of this, I'll put up in my schedule for when I plan to do it. Probably going to be Sunday evening, but I would say I'm quite excited to get this one done, so that might happen a little bit sooner. So maybe back on this evening, maybe. So stay tuned. Hopefully if there's a way of knowing when I go live, click it. Again, still very new to all of this streaming. So, or if you've got any tips for me, let me know as well, if you are a streamer. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Steve, Mike, Sloth Queen, and anyone else that has been watching, thank you for watching. Again, been very entertaining, and I'll speak to you all